the main thing that I see with hidden disability is people can't see it. So they don't think that sometimes I'm being truthful, or sometimes they just don't understand that.
So, hello to all my guests who view or listen to my podcast, Blether with Barberra. I have today a guest all the way from sunny Pittsburgh in America. My guest is Michelle Steiner, which she will correct me if I got that wrong. And Michelle's here to talk about hidden disabilities, as she's an advocacy for hidden disabilities herself, and to share her mission as well about this very worthwhile cause. But I'll hand over to you, Michelle, and you can introduce yourself, what you're about, what you do, and why you do it, and then we'll take it from there. Is that okay?
That sounds great. My name is Michelle Steiner. I am a writer, speaker, photographer, and paraeducator, and I live in the United States with my husband, Ron, and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. And I work in a school with students who have disabilities and some who don't. And I also have a blog called Michelle's Mission, where I write about my life with having a learning disability and feature my photography as well.
Excellent. I have looked at your website and I liked your photography. I think it's great.
You.
And I just, your Facebook page. I like photography. I do a bit of photography myself. I do sort of get a little bit bogged down with multiple images sometimes, so I don't really show them like you do. So well done for showing to the public your images that you take. I don't do it. I don't think I've got the confidence yet. I don't mind talking on podcasts, but I got the confidence for showing my art out there. So, as always, Michelle, with all my guests, as you'll have seen podcasts before, I like to try and get the best out of my guests so we can have a good chat. And explore your mission a little bit further. So, with regards to your sort of main mission, when we say hidden disability, what is it that people most often don't see or don't understand, in your opinion?
I think the main thing that I see with hidden disability is people can't see it. So they don't think that sometimes I'm being truthful, or sometimes they just don't understand that. So I'll tell somebody, I have a learning disability. And they think, oh, well, you don't look like you're disabled. Or sometimes it might be with somebody that knows me and thinks, oh, you've had all this success. Certainly you've overcome this. And the truth is, I have had success, and people can't necessarily see my disability, but it doesn't mean that it's definitely there. And it gives me a lot of difficulties at times. Some of the things I might have trouble with, people can't see that I might have trouble with math. And I have trouble with my eye-hand coordination, or I might just have difficulties with opening up a jar. And those are things that maybe people, they can see that I can struggle with some of those things, but they don't always understand the reason why.
Yeah, and I get that, because we obviously we're in a weird world at the moment, aren't we, where people with disabilities are sort of minority groups of people, whether what you are, if you're not in the mainstream, particularly disabled people, are picked on a lot for political gains. And we do get that here, because in the UK, we have a blue badge system for people who've got disabilities. So you put that in your car, and it means you can use disabled car parking spaces outside supermarkets or malls, on the high street, etc. And obviously, a lot of people get those disabled blue badges because of the disability, which is not a missing limb. It is not paraplegia. It is not something visible like cerebral palsy. It is generally something, like you say, it isn't visible at all. And people do get attacked verbally by people who just say, well, you're not obviously disabled because you can drive a car and you can walk.
Yeah, that is definitely something that might encounter, with people not always understanding, because we're so used to looking at what we see as a disability with somebody that might have a visual thing with their face, maybe definitely a facial feature that might indicate one, or somebody that has a cane or a wheelchair or another kind of mobility device. So that is one of those things that we so often associate with someone with a disability. We do have disability placards that people can use if they do have a vehicle. And sometimes it can even be a caregiver that might be taking somebody out to the store or to an appointment. But sometimes not every disability qualifies for that too. There is a really good thing that I did use called the hidden sunflower lanyard. And this is whenever I was flying to a disability in Orlando, Florida, last minute, and my husband couldn't go with me. So I looked into what programs they offered, and one of them was the hidden sunflower, and that indicates disability. And because people don't understand, I don't need the walker or the wheelchair. but I might just need some extra time to get into boarding. I might need time to process information. But I
Mm.
can understand that a lot of times people don't understand that too. They think, oh, well, what's wrong with that person compared to maybe somebody that has a visible.
Yeah, and I was just as we're talking, I'm thinking of, because I have a hidden disability.
Hmm.
I don't see. I don't like to call it a disability. So,
Hmm.
well, I've got cancer. So over here, we've classed that as
Oh,
disabled because it's
right.
been over
Same
six
here.
months. Well, I've had it 10 years. So it's probably the same in the US.
Hmm.
And I've just found out I'm neurodivergent and I've got mental health like depression and anxiety and PTSD,
Right.
etc. But it's hidden because it's not a physical
Yeah.
disability.
We
And
can't see
unless I
it.
take my t-shirt up and you see the scars, you're not going to know about the cancer either.
Right. Yeah, because people
And it,
don't see that.
They do. And I think we've got, I don't know how your signs are. It's always been the case that unless you have actually got some sort of cane that you help with walking or you're in a wheelchair, we have everything to do with disability. If you've got a blue badge or a placard for your car or signs on the
Hmm.
street or even the signs on the floor that they paint for the car park that you use, it's a
Yep.
person in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And I wonder if from you're more of an expert than I on this because of what you do, but whether or not we need to get rid of the wheelchair emblem for disability representation, because I think it does play into people's lazy minds on, oh, disabled person wheelchair, they don't have a wheelchair, they're not disabled.
Right. I mean, I think it might be a good idea if we revised maybe what something would look like to include everybody that would have one. Maybe you could have the person that is in the wheelchair, maybe is the person with the cane. And then maybe there's some of the symbols, maybe for even like a brain or something for somebody that might think differently or has a brain that might be wired differently. And that way it's something that can include maybe not all, but as many as we possibly can, because I think
Mm,
sometimes that does show that. And that was an issue that was during COVID that really hit with social distancing. I can't use
yes.
an escalator in public. I mean, or actually anywhere because I can't tell when to get on and off with my visual perception. And
Right.
I have to use an elevator, which is fine. But they had this sign on the elevator. This is only for people that have strollers or people that are in a wheelchair or disabled. And I'm thinking,
Yes.
I have a disability. You can't see it, but
Yeah.
I use that myself. And I actually wrote an article about that because, well, I was really blessed not to have anybody question that. Sometimes people do, and they'll ask questions about that, or
Mm.
they might think that. And I think we need to have something where there is that placard or there is that really is inclusive towards all kinds of different disabilities that you might see in the community.
Yeah, and I suppose that's where you come in with your educational
Hmm.
approach, because obviously education about disabilities, hidden disabilities particularly, because we have got an increase. Well,
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the correct word. Probably much more recognition of hidden
Right.
disabilities now because of the advent of social media. Particularly,
Hmm.
what I'm talking about is neurodivergencies, because the
Right.
neurodiverse because people are encouraged to be themselves and therefore masking has gone, which I did for many decades. Neurodivergence is coming, and more people. I'm not disabled in per se that I need special treatment for that, other
Right.
than to understand, for example, that I don't think like the mainstream of the masses. I think
Hmm.
differently. But I think education really is the most important thing now, because there is a lot more people getting diagnosed with various hidden
Hmm.
disabilities that affect cognitive function, etc. And if you if people are not seeing it, they will comment. I mean, you're lucky, as you say, during COVID,
Oh yeah.
you didn't get that. But over here, we're not very
Hmm.
tolerant in the UK of people with disabilities. I'm not quite sure if it's the same in the US, but here we're not. And we
Yeah.
just see people as a sort of liability on society rather than looking at some people and going, well, actually, okay, I know that you can't do that, but you're really good at that. So
Right.
let's just champion that thing you're really good at rather than attack you for the thing that you can't do. Do you find that in the US? Is that the
I
same?
do. I do. We want to put everybody in this box
Yeah.
and especially with the disability community too. I mean, we want to put, I can remember whenever I was trying to find a job after college and we went with an agency that helped people with disabilities find jobs. And I was working temp jobs at that time. And I can remember having to take time off of work to go into a temp job, to go in and meet with one of their caseworkers. And I circled jobs in the newspaper and I thought I could do this at home. And I later found out in an outing that this was more served for people with intellectual disabilities. So a lot of that job advice just wasn't sound for that. But a lot of times people don't want to, we have the same problems. There are great people that accommodate or they try to understand, but oftentimes they want everybody to be the same, or they don't want to have to necessarily do that, or it's looked upon as someone might be lazy or someone might not be able, where that's a disability. So we do run into those same issues too. And it's not always easy to be in that thing, but I always find something with disabilities. This is a minority group at a club that anybody can join at any time in their life. And I really encourage people that may think that way to maybe reconsider that, because you never know if you're going to be in that situation and you might need to have an accommodation, or you might need to have a service, or there just might be a different way for you. And to really think about that before we necessarily judge someone.